All right, so for today, let's talk about replacing a battery in a Game Boy cartridge. In this case, it's a Pokemon Silver. We're going to get our 3-volt battery replacement here. Sometimes these can sit around for a long time, so what I like to do is just test them. Sorry about the mess here. I'm also a little bit sick, so don't mind my nasally voice. So we're going to test the battery, and it's a 3-volt battery, so we want to see that. All right, check that out, 3.323. Obviously, it's a little over, but it's not going to hurt anything. So we are good with that battery. And now let's take this apart. So there's a couple different toolkits you can get. Obviously, my favorite is iFixit, and very high quality tools. And we're going to get this single little screw out the back here. We'll just set it there. And then just slide this down and pull up. And it looks like this one has already been attempted at some point. So let's do a test here. We might end up doing a little bit more work than we expected. And let's see what we get on our multimeter when we test this battery. It could have been a bad battery or something. Oh yeah, look at that. Absolutely dead. See that? Nothing. So definitely just a dead battery, which is good news because sometimes these older cartridges, there's a fuse up here that can die, and you end up having some issues with that. So, all right, let's go under the microscope, and we'll go from there. Let's take a look here. So what I like to do with this is to just heat up the points, and then take them off just by prying upward. It's not going to harm anything. So you want the largest tip for the job, by the way. If you're using it, like if you're thinking you need micro soldering, oh, I need some tiny, soldering tip, not at all. Just something that's going to give you the best, heat coverage to maximize the efficiency of getting this done quickly and correctly. And this thing works perfect. So, excuse me. So there's, with the battery off, next is I'm just going to use a solder wick or solder braid, whatever you want to call it. And this is going to wick away all that old solder. We're just going to drag it across. And if you're curious what the, my station's at here, my soldering pin is at 800 degrees Fahrenheit. And we're going to get a little bit of smoke. So we're just going to drag, and we're just going to keep doing that until we can replace all this old, whoops, sorry. Let's get this back into place here. I have a thing that I can hold these on, but I'm not really too worried about using it for this case. I don't really have a lot of problems. And look at that, isn't that beautiful? Look at that wick working. Okay, and then isopropyl, I use 99% isopropyl for cleaning and everything. So let me get some of this isopropyl here. And we're just going to wipe this up because there's flux built into some solder wicks have flux, and then so does the solder. If you're using like 60-40 leaded solder, it has a flux core of about 2% or something like that, and you'll get quite a bit of smoke coming up. So if you have a little fume extractor like I do on my desk, now's the time to turn it on. So that's what it's going to look like with the solder, the old solder removed. And now let us put the new battery in place here. And there's two ways you can do this. You can put the solder down now, lay the battery on the solder, and then push down and let it kind of, overtake the terminals. So let's do that method. You can do it either way, where you put solder on before or after. It's really not going to do anything. It's not going to matter. So just a little bit of flux, and this is Amtech flux, and it should be 559. Yes, it is 559 flux, tacky flux, and it works fantastic. I use solder that I buy from a Chinese company called Best. and it's 60/40 leaded solder. And what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of get in here and we're just going to pull this up. Check that out. So very easy. And the flux is going to make it shine. It's going to make it look good. And let's do it on the other side too here. So check that out. So now it's going to be very easy to just set the battery on top of this and just push the terminals over it. If you have enough heat, it's going to just go right into place. And then we'll clean this up with a brush and everything. And like I said, you can do it either way. It's not going to, it's really, there's no magic to this. There's no magic. So one thing that I like to do here is do it quickly because the flux is going to get old. Check that out. Just like that, and just tack it into place. And I personally, I like to have coverage over the whole thing. So I like to have quite a bit over the top of it. Just like that. And that's gonna work perfectly. And if you really want to get fancy, you can add a little bit more flux here. Like I said, I like to have a lot of coverage on these. So now I'm going to add, in my case, I'm going to add flux onto there again, just like I did, and then some more solder onto the end of my tip, just floating on the end of the tip. And now I'm going to touch like this and check that out. Look how nice that looks. And then same thing on this side. I'm going to go over here. Sorry, I'm out of view here. Just going to touch like this. Get complete coverage over that. Just like that. And you're done that easily. And of course, we want to go over this with some cotton swabs, and I do have a brush that I use to clean as well. And you can see, look how nice that looks. We got great joints, good quality solder and flux that we used, and we have a nice, beautiful battery replacement just like that. No damage to the board, no problems at all. And I'm going to use this just to ensure that we've cleaned completely around here. Just like that. And then keep in mind, there is obviously positive and negative. Most of the batteries, positive is on the bottom and negative's on the top. And you can see we've matched those up too. So just keep that in mind so that it's not something that you miss by accident. And I'm going to get a paper towel. And this is kind of a trick that's really nice to use here. So I'll wet my brush and the paper towel and just kind of go like this, and it's going to pick up any of this garbage. And I'm going to clean the pins on the bottom of this too while I'm here. You know, just to make sure that everything's taken care of for the customer, that everything is better than when they left it with me. So I'm just going to wipe these down, and you can use the cotton swab or your brush. In this case, I'm just using the Q-tips to do the cleaning. And we're just kind of going over them. And then sometimes if it depends on how much isopropyl, I'm a huge fan of using it. But you can see there's a little bit laying around. I just go in here with a hot air station at like 250. And I'm just going to evaporate all that. And check that out. Look how nice that battery replacement looks. Looks better than when it was at the factory, huh? Very, very nice. Cool. So next thing is, let's make sure that it's testing better than that battery was. Let's check and see what we got here, guys. Check that out. Much better than the old one, huh? So now we can put it back into the case here. I've got Gameboy SP we can use real quick to do the testing on. this in here. Just a second. It's being nasty. There we go. Excellent. Cool. So let's get my Game Boy SP off the shelf. And let's give it a test here. Obviously, I'll fast forward a little bit for you guys. Everything looks to be in order. Does that look familiar? Check that out. So we know the cartridge works. We need to create a new game. Go through all this stuff. And you'll save, unplug it, leave it out for just a couple minutes. I don't really worry about the time. Hello, sorry to keep you waiting. Welcome to the world of Pokemon. Yeah. We've all been through this. I love how they use Meryl as the Pokemon to show off. Very nostalgic, huh? We'll just say his name is Max. Story's gonna unfold, blah, blah, blah. You guys have no idea how many times I have to do this. All right, so I walk around for a minute, let it get a little bit of time into the game. Okay, go down to save. Yes, we would like to save. Don't turn off power. Max saved the game. Okay. Then we unplug it. We're going to let it sit here for just a second. And basically what we're doing is we want to make sure that it's not getting anything from the board on here, any extra power, anything at all, that it's just the battery that's going to be holding this save, right? Because that's how it should be. And now we should have the save when we return. We want to see an option that says continue. Boom. And there you have it. Day 1. Barely a minute into the game. Perfect. So that concludes changing a battery and how to do it correctly. And if you have any questions or concerns, go ahead and feel free to leave comments. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a good day.